Hello, good evening. Welcome back to the ARMA Team League Season 4, Week 7. Bringing us in a little bit early tonight. We do have a little bit more I do want to talk about before we get into games. So, I've just managed to only really get home, about 20 minutes ago. So I really haven't had time to sort things out entirely. So right now I'm playing solo. If there's anybody who does want to join me and has 2 hours to spare tonight and then 3 hours tomorrow, let me know. I'm sure we can probably try and work something out. But for now, I'll be solo. So we're just going to quickly get into the swing of things here. First of all, look at the standings here. Both the team standings and the individual standings. First of all, the team standings, which are the most important. Riichi Fingers still with a very strong over 400 point lead. Britannia Sensation, who have maintained their second place behind Riichi Fingers. Todd Dreaming has moved back up into third. The top 8 in general has been shifting around quite a fair bit. Oishikanare have managed to climb back up into it. Itsuanko have fallen out of it once again. Junkin Sumo both had time in the top 8 as well, but both still just a bit off the pace. However, right now we're at the second last week. We've got about roughly 10 games left for each of the teams. So we'll be trying to, 10 games is more than enough to make up any of these deficits, even for, last place FA agents, who are still, a bit in the hole, 250 points, but that is more than doable. And, as for, to represent that, Asset here, who is first in the individual standings, last week had an absolute stellar week, but they earned about 150 points for Riichi Fingers on their own, and that alone would go over 50% to erasing a 250 point debt. So it's more than doable, even just over 2 games. You just need to get that form going. You need to start pushing for those bigger wins, playing a little bit more risky, but with the rewards from first place, it makes it really worthwhile. So right now, top 8 is what we're aiming for in the last 2 weeks, obviously. So Urasama better in about -60, holding on to that 8th place spot with 1 game in hand over every team with 20 games and 2 games in hand with teams with 21. So that'll be the reaching point here for teams, immediately trying to get to 8th place. But even up to 5th, Firth and Double Reach are only on positive 15 points, which is 75 points past that, which is, 1 more first place finish, more or less. So you want to try and get as far into the top 8 as you can. And in fact, you just want to keep winning as much points as you can, because you'll retain them going forward. So it's all worth it, even for the teams that are currently in the top 8 already. And reason why I did bring up the individual standings is just as a reminder, we will be hosting a individuals tournament at the end of this team-based tournament for, I believe it's the top 16 people, hosted by SPT. So if you're, if you're worried that maybe your team doesn't have much to play for at this point in the season, and that's sort of a little bit demotivating, try and aim for the individual stuff instead, because it's worth it, and just go for it, eh? Hey, fine. So that being said, we'll be getting into the games here momentarily. Just have a quick look at the Discord. It hasn't said the games are going, but I assume if they hadn't, we would have been pinged. So let me just refresh this, make sure this is up to date, and we are. So we'll be going tonight with Table 2. With Junkin Sumo, Oishikanare, and Tal Dreaming. And then from there going to Table 3, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, with Champon, Puritan Double Reach, Otto the Sparrow, and the FA agents. So, first of all, we'll be getting into the first table before we go any further, which is right here. And let me bring up the proper overlay. And make sure nothing broke, and it did. Because of course it did. Give me 1 sec. Where is my window? There we go. So bear with me, and I will get the seating order updated very quickly. So we have all that up to date. So give me one moment. We'll be starting with HOA here in the east seat, who is already in the east seat. Very good. Followed by Kyril, followed by Saber, followed by Desu. Hey, guess what? It ordered correctly. I love to see that. It means I don't have to do anything. Wonderful. So everything started on time, it looks like. So we'll be seeing this game be live in just over 3 minutes here, or just under, roughly about 3 minutes. Where are we? Just wanted to bring up the overlay on my end. So, yes, Junkenron and Junken Sumo, as mentioned previously, they're both a little bit off the pace here in 11th and 12th, respectively. So we'll be looking for some big games from them. Tile Dreaming will be looking to try and solidify that third place immediately. You've got the Crimson Wanderers just on their tails, less than 30 points behind. So try to secure the third place for Tile Dreaming. Try to close the gap down to Tanya Sensation if you can. And then lastly, Itsuanko looking to... Not Itsuanko, sorry, Ushkanare with Saber looking to really try and get a little bit further into the top 8. So it should be really good, but we're really looking for Junkenron, Junken Sumo to have big splashes here, especially Junken Sumo down in 12th with negative 193 points. A first place here, roughly averaging around about 70, 80 points, would go pretty much completely remove that deficit. Probably even overtake Junkenron, assuming they don't get a second place. Really, go put that first step forward to removing the large deficit, which is what we're presented with right now. No, let me also update the overlay because I haven't done that. 26, 27. What am I doing here? So for now, yeah, Cheese is unavailable this week, and I left finding another commentator too late because I'm stupid and silly. So for now, I'll be solo, but like I said, if there's anyone available, we'll try and get something worked out if you want to set aside 2 hours tonight, 3 hours tomorrow. But this should be underway momentarily. Let me mute the music so we get the full commentary experience. And yeah, here we go. So starting with HOA here for Junkenron in the east seat. 6-man is the Dora, of which HOA currently has 0 Dora. West pair hanging on a tiles. It's a bit of an awkward hand to work with now, choosing to drop the 8-pin, which is probably the worst tile in the hand. Moving over to Kyril in the south seat. Does open with a 2-man pawn. We'll be looking to probably go towards a Tanya with the 2 6-man Dora in the hand for a Tanya Dora 2. Also has options to go into a Honitsu or Chinitsu hand, depending on how they want to play the hand. Across the table, Saber for the Crimson Wanderers. Yep. Ushkanare. Lots of Sozo tiles. Probably thinking about the Honitsu hand. Does pick up a Friso here, which will help that lower Sozo shape, filling in the Penchan. Dropping honor tiles indicating we might even be seeing a Chinitsu here from Saber. And lastly, Desu for Tile Dreaming in the north seat. Hand is a little bit slow. Lots of pairs. Well, 3 pairs currently. Not too sure where the hand's going. He looked at the early 5-man drop. Might have been considering a Chanta or Junchan hand, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see exactly how they want to go. But yeah, 2 quick calls here. Saber opening up with a 7, so Chi, indicating the Honitsu or Chinitsu, and Kyril picking up the Dora here from Saber as elevated the side of his hand, looking to go actually into a Honitsu Toy Dora free. which would be Honitsu, Toitoi, Dora, free, 7 Han, so Hanuman? Showing my inability to remember Han counters and scoring in general. Discarding the Chun here, it leaves the hand open. You can accept the 5 man, you can accept another 2 man if you didn't want a Khan. Got the choice. But Cairo very rapidly running away with his hand, showing a very scary hand to the rest of the table. Saber not cheating the free-so here. Could have cheated, dropped a 1-so maybe. Would have left you still without a head, which is a little bit awkward to work with. And yeah, it looks like Desu... I'm still not too sure what Desu's doing here. But Tenpai now for Cairo. Desu might just be folding entirely. The hand is very far from Tenpai. Yeah, the 4-man comes out here. So Tenpai for Cairo did find the 5-man, so does end up having a weight on the 8-man and the north tile. Looking around, both 8-mans are still in the wall. And 1 north wind is in the wall, 1 in Desu's hand. It does seem to be folding, so I'm likely to see this come out probably. The expectation here is Cairo would be on a Honitsu, even with the early honor discard. Simply because, I mean, it was a Haku. It was already, 1 cut, 2 cut, even. So, the expectation is the Honitsu, but you find the last north, you don't need to worry about someone else throwing it. So, Honitsu Dora free. Hand is Mangan. Instead of the Hanuman it could have been, but we'll take a nice 8,000 point win early on in the Hanchan. Starting your dealership. Good spot to be for Chiral. Chiral? I like to say Chiral. I have to ask if we can get them on for a winning. So yeah, Chiral here for Junk and Sumo. The team I did mention at the start who is in 12th place. Good start here. The hand itself is not terrible. We've got Ryaman shape in the Sozo we can work with. We've got nice Pinzu shape. They have to fill in a Penchan. Good acceptance all around. Quickly glancing here around the table. Saber's hand is also pretty fast. Similar shapes to the Cairo, but a little bit better actually. Desu as well. This hand is being opened up here for a Tanya Dora 2 once again. The shapes are a little bit too slow to work with otherwise. And isn't too far off from already being Tenpai with that hand. And lastly, HOA. Unfortunate here, the backfire on the first North discard, having drawn another 2, has really slowed down the hand a little bit here. But the hand itself isn't terrible. Pinzu shape's nice. The Sozo shape is also pretty easily to work with, and that even helps it even more. You can even start to go towards a Itsu if you can find a Nanso, which are still alive. 3 left in the wall, which would be a very nice hand for them. Itsu, Dora 2, possibly a Pinfu if you can find the 7 pin first. Chiral as well might be considering a Itsu shape with that the Pinzu tiles that they do have, but a little bit slow. Now it just drops the 5 pin here just to get it out of the way. Probably not going to be going towards that. Itsu just decides to drop the dangerous tile early. Another Chi here from Desu, speeding towards this Tanya Dora 2. Still is Ishanten. Needs to connect something to the 5-so or the 8-so. Just double checking. There is the Sanshoku, just barely missing out on it. Could have been a 6, 7, 8 Sanshoku or something like that. And Cairo now, having picked up a pair of Hatsu tiles one after the other, can, if they can find a third one, open up the hand and try and speed up these shapes. And Saber still working away. This hand looks to be trending towards some sort of Pinfu. Pinfu, maybe it's got Dora acceptance if you can find it. It's not terrible. one man will be pretty stuck as the pair, and HOA opens up with the 4-pin. So giving up on the Itsu, but does take Tenpai, waiting on the 7-pin, which is one left in the wall. The two in the the 3 that are in the hands all seem to be pretty safe. Can't imagine any of these naturally coming up. Alright, and there is Tenpai for Desu as well for that Tanya Dora too. Waiting on the 4-7 so, which is not looking great at first glance. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 2 left in the wall. Sorry, 1 left in the wall. Just a single 4 so. Which is the problem when you find the Tenpai on these middle tiles very late into the hand. They've just generally all been sucked up, and there comes the 4 so. As Saber hitting Tenpai does deal into Desu's Tanya Dora too. And Desu managing to claw back some of the points which was taken from the Mangan Sumo in the first hand. Does end the dealership of Cairo. There's a direct hit on Saber. Saber now with the Tenpai. Dora 4 already. Very good hand to wake up to after this dealing in. Obviously, having the 1-pin as Dora makes it a little bit hard to open. We'll have to find a Tenpai otherwise, but the shapes are pretty good. HOA, however, across the table from Saber with a Anko of the West Winds already. Some pairs in the Sozo shape. Looks to be aiming towards a Honitsu here. Having dropped a 2-man and some honor tiles. The South Wind was dropped first. The Norths have been dropped. Can go either way still. Holding on to Dragon tiles to maybe pick up a pair and call something. Desu's hand as well. Very quick, potentially. The Pinzu's already complete. Extra pair in the Sozo and the Manzu though. So we'll have to see where the draws take him to figure out exactly where this hand will end up. And lastly, Chiral as well. Very, very strong hand here from Chiral. A lot of very quick hands. There's a 7-man. That'll slot straight into Saber's hand here. Does take Tenpai, waiting on the Tanki 4-man, of which there is 2 left in the wall for... actually, no, this isn't Tenpai at all, because there's no Riichi. But is technically Tenpai. This with no Yaku. Would have to sumo a 4-man. 2 left in the wall. Not bad. But probably looking to find something you can Riichi on that isn't a Tanki weight. So looking for a 4-so, looking for a 5-man, looking for a 9-man, something like that. So you can at least Riichi the hand. And have a little bit better odds at finding a tile to win with. But this will allow the other players to catch up. That also works. Can Riichi here on the 5-pin. Now waiting on a 2-pin, 5-pin wait for Riichi Dora 4. 1 5-pin left in the wall and 1 2-pin left in the wall. So it is better-ish than a Tanki, you'd think. But having 2 of the 5 pins in your own hand does take away some of your weights. Makes it a little bit more awkward to work with. But a dealer Riichi here will put the pressure on the opponents here to try and think if their hands are worth fighting with. HOA here, having picked up another pair, can pivot towards a Chitoi. And does seem to be aiming that way at least immediately. Dropping the 3-man, which was not safe in the slightest. It will be a bit tricky here. I mean, you can drop the West, which you assume will be safe. And it is safe because it was discarded first by Chiral. If you do manage to find a 1-so or a 3-so. But you can also, for example, take this, drop the 7 pins, and go for a Hanitsu. 7 pins, 1 chance. You can see 3 6 pins out. And a lot of the 9 pins. You can see 3 to 9 pins. So it is a push, but it's a bit of a calculated push. There's another 7-pin. Would have maybe found some sort of a toy if you wanted to head in that direction instead. Another E-star. This is a little bit awkward now. Does this throw it back? And Saber finding the last 5-pin. Riichi Sumo, Dora free, Aka, and 1 Ura. Makes this a Hanuman. And immediately jumps to a 37,000 point lead. 10,000 points over Chiral. And we go again. So Saber managing to convert the hand even with the 2 outweight. With the Sumo, this makes it all the more sweet. And is potentially pivoting to get that again. A 5 so is a great find here, which will slot into the Sozo shapes that they already have. With the Chun as well, can open this hand and try and convert it for some more points quickly. Desu's hand, however, very fast, is actually 2 Shanten. That is a Shanten technically. And that helps it a lot more. You can drop the Penchan here. Yes. Saber did manage to grab a Chi here from Chiral. Sorry, a Chun here from Chiral. And Chiral themselves is also Ishanten. Would have to probably end up dropping... No, sorry, it was 2 Shanten. So yeah, right now the 4-man is the loosest tile in the hand, really. So if you do want to sort of chase, you end up having to do something like this, which does allow Saber to cheat once again. Saber now Ishanten, and Desu is Tenpai, managing to to collect all those Sozo tiles and reaching on a Tanky 9-man for Riichi only. However, all the 9-mans are uncoded away in Chiral's hand. And speaking of good hands, HOA building towards a Honitsu here. And I am not any good at my Chinitsu weights. That is Ishanten. Yeah, Dora Anko, very good find. Exactly right. But, and... That is Tenpai. Taking it would be a 6-9-man Tenpai at the very minimum. Again, my Chinitsu reads are terrible, but choosing not to, at least maybe trying to increase the odds of winning the hand. Or is it Tenpai still? My reads are bad. That's Tenpai, waiting on the 8-man and the West Wind, which is immediately drawn here by Chiral. The West Wind is completely live, does end up dropping the 9-man instead, which does deal into the Tanky weight from Desu. For no Ura, so it remains Riichi only. But does end the dealership for Saber. And takes us into East 4 here with Desu as the dealer for Tile Dreaming. Will be again Tile Dreaming in 3rd place currently, but probably safe, but not really. Taking a couple last here, over the next coming weeks, could see this lead evaporate. So really looking to solidify their top in the top 8, their spot in the top 8 rather. The starting hand is pretty good, has Dora acceptance, has some nice shapes to work with in the Sozo, in the Pinzu. Completed Metsu in the Pinzu helping out as well. But Saber already finding Tenpai. Waiting on Kanchan 5-pin for Riichi Dora. And Sumo is the 5-pin after the Pon. And an Ura finding Mangan. Very quick win from Saber, ending the dealership for Desu. And Saber now with a 20,000 point lead over 2nd place has a firm grip on this Hanchan. taking us straight now into South round. HOA as the dealer in last place for John Kenron, waking up this hand with a South pair, with a Chun pair, which is also Vedora, pawning the South winds. Looking to speed this hand up. It's already going to be 3 Han minimum, potentially a Honitsu as well. Desu to his left, however, two archetyles, has some good value, has some good shapes as well. Again, managing to fill out the Manzu shape is now 2 Shanten. No, Ishanten? Ishanten. No, Ishanten. Chiral to the right here as well. Good shapes to work with. Has the Hatsu pair. They can choose to pawn if they can find the 4th one. The hand itself hasn't got much value otherwise. Maybe a 2-3-4 Sanshoku or something similar. And Saber across the table. 4 pairs at the moment. Choosing to pass up the pawn on the east. It is Yaku Nashi for them. So, not helpful. Now has the Anko of the 7, so. Okay, Saber shifting their hand, picking up a pair of the 7 Mons. Can now drop a 5-pin. And Chiral now also presented with a 4th pair. So also has the option now to pivot. Doesn't, drops the 1 Mon. Again, there's this option of a Sanshoku if you can find the right tiles. HOA finding the 3rd Chun. Now has the Anko sealed away in the hand. Dropping the north. It is dead at this point. Keeping the 4-pin just in case it connects to something. You can convert this South Dora 3 Chun hand, which is Dealer Mangan. Doubling your points here brings you right back into the thick of the match. Another pair for Chiral. So perhaps becoming the Chitoi route was correct here. Saber dropping their pair of the east, was looking to play a more standard hand, not going for Toy Toy or Sananko or anything like that, or Chitoi. Last Tatsu does come out and Chiral does pawn it away. Is now Ishanten. Right now it's just Hatsu only, but if they do find the Haku tiles, which are still both left in the wall, could take at least a 2 Han hand, which is, feels a bit better than a 1 Han hand. There's one of them. It is live, and HOA does choose to hold on to it. And that forces him to throw the Wanzo, which now Chiral accepts for that Tenpai, waiting on the 2 5-pin. Which is not great, and Saber's also Tenpai waiting on the 5 8-so. 8-sos are all still in the wall. Desu picked up a Chun, and this late into hand isn't willing to throw it. There's an 8-so. Saber does run. Pinfu only. But Saber now for Oishikanare. They don't desperately need points. And Saber with their 1st place currently, I guess not feeling the desire to Riichi, not having been able to see any of the Arkadora or any of the actual Dora. Maybe just choosing to play a little bit safely. Does win. Pinfernally. Taking away the dealership from HOA, who's now in a far 4th. Far away from 1st, that is. Can still catch up to other players. But this hand. Chiral does open up with the East pair and does pawn very early. Going straight for the Aku. This stage, the hand doesn't have a lot of value. Can maybe try and find Toy Toy. It is a little bit far. Saber as well in this hand. Pretty quick. But still has some shapes to fill. Desu across the table has an Akadora, but does have some work to go to really bring this hand closer towards Tenpai. And HUA did pawn the Chun, now has picked up Adora, but it is sort of just hanging with nothing to connect to right away. And Cairo now Tenpai, waiting on the 5-8 so, which is 2 left in the wall. 2 5-0. So you have the Aka 5-0 to find, but the 8-0s are all already dead, or at least they're in hand. So, and speaking of 8-0s in hands, HUA did find another 7-0s. Now with an 8-0, they can accept that Dora tile. Otherwise, you're just looking to find another Dora. Saber now filling in another Mentsu. Still looking for a head, but has plenty of choices to find. But does matter. Desu throws the 8-0, which does deal into Kairo's ton only. 1500 points. Making us go once again in the South 2 hand for Kairo. Kairo wanting to run up the score here. Junkin Sumo, yeah, again, as I said many times here, 12th place, really needing some wins to get the momentum flowing. And this hand that they've woken up with is another very fast hand. Dora free already. Can make use of all of them if they can find the correct draws. But they are already getting pretty close to Tenpai. Looking briefly around the table, HOA has a Hatsu pair. So they can call to open, but being in this 4th place, you're really trying to find a little bit more value. Junkin Ron is only 1 spot above Junkin Sumo. But the difference is 80 points, so they are still in need of points. So you can take a 4th here, but it's not great. not this late into the season. Chiral finding a 2-so here now can potentially lock in the Dora as a pair. The hand is quite flexible with the Pinzu shape. So you can even see this hand one day become Tanya if you draw the right things, but not that likely. And yeah, finding the 6-so there allows you to remove the Kanchan shape. And Saber choosing to not pawn the east. I was just wondering if they might want to do some sort of toy dash. The hand's pretty good, so you don't need to open it. Again, with this 1st place, you have still over 20,000 points. 20,000 points isn't secure, but it's pretty good. There's no real need to risk yourself. Desu as well. Now Ishan 10. With Adora, with an Arkadora. But Chiral does find a Tenpai. Waiting on Tanki 5-so for what would be, well, right now it would just be Sumo Dora 3, but Sumo Dora 4. So probably trying to find a 3-so or a 7-so. 3-so would be preferred. Or even a 6-man, which would allow you to be Tanya. But maybe hoping to find somebody who can't work a 5-so. Maybe cutting it early to try and find Tenpai. So we'll have to see how long they wish to hold this Tenpai. And Desu is also shuffling their hand. They filled in the Sozo shape. Well, actually, they have not quite filled in the Sozo shape. They've slimmed the hand down now so it can be Tanya. And he does open. The 5-so could have come out here, but instead choosing to hold on to it, as you typically want to do, does avoid the deal in for now. So really wanting to find a 4-so here. A 6-so would also work, but it isn't quite as fast. There is a 4-so now into Saber's hand. And that's exactly what Desu wants. So now Desu is Tenpai, which will be waiting on a couple different weights depending what they go for. They go for the Samanchan, so waiting on the 2, 5, 8 pin. 2 pins are gone. 5 pins are 1 left, and there's the 2 pin from Chiral. As he did end up finding a 4-so. Sorry, a 6-so rather. Does deal in to Desu. Tanya Dora 2. Tanya Dora 1? I've immediately forgotten. Good old hamster brain. That does end Chiral's dealership. And now with the deal in direct to Desu has dropped to 3rd. Which does have implications. So we'll have to see how the rest of the Hanchan goes. Right now though, we are with Saber's dealership, who does still have an over 20k lead. Grimm's Oishikanare, I keep trying to say Grimm's Wanderers. Oishikanare does need points, but this first will go a pretty good way into helping them solidify that top 8 finish. They'll go up to about 50 points per my account right now. This hand does look to be going into Chitoi. It is now Ishanten, which would be Chitoi Dora 3. Tanyao probably. Could even there's another 2-so to backfire. That being said, Desu's hand quite fast. HOA's hand is also quite fast. Had some very good draws so far. Chiral's as well. Probably Shenandoah is dropping one of his extra pairs. The East can probably go, for example, but to see how they choose to play the hand out. Saber still with the Chitoi Ishanten. This is always a fun position to be in. And you always have the option to open as well. Okay, Chiral did end up dropping the pair of the 9 months. Can pivot their hand towards a Pinzu Itsu. Oh, that's gonna make the Chitoi a bit difficult. There you've got a Ryunman completed. So you can drop a 5-so here, but that would basically lock in the Chitoi for certain. Does end up dropping an 8-man, which you can still work with as well. If you pair up any of your other pairs, you can then drop a 5-man and go for a Sananko. But Desu did complete their hand with the Riichi waiting on the 5-8-so for Riichi Dora only for now. The 5-sos are 1 left. The 8-sos are 2 left. They're all currently held by Saber. And if he finds either of them, the 5-sos will most likely be conned away, I imagine. Even with the Riichi on the table, you can't really deal in with a 5 or 8-so, I feel, with the 6-so Riichi. Being around the door like that, it's very risky. That is Tenpai, yeah. Waiting on the 4-7 pin for Saber. For Riichi, Tanyao, Dora 3, maybe not Ipatsu. What's the word? I've forgotten the word. You know the one. Ipeiko. There we go. 4-7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 left in the wall. The 4 pin, obviously the Takame, 2 left. the 7 pins, 2 left. But doesn't matter. Desu finding the Dora. Riichi, Sumo, Dora, Aka becomes Mangan for Desu. And now going into South 4, Desu is only 10,000 points behind Saber. Managing to find exactly what they needed in that last hand to really up the value of the hand. Now we have a fight on our hands. So Desu, 10,000 points behind. Obviously a deal of Mangan here is enough. There's several other victory conditions of which I am not smart enough to calculate, because my scoring is also as bad as my Jinitsu Ritz. Around the table, however, Chiral in third, about 12,000 behind, 12,500 behind. Needs a bit more work to catch up. Starts with a pair of the south tiles, which can help, but it's going to be awkward with this hand. Saber, to hold on, just needs any victory, and this hand is pretty good. Free Dora, which is obviously not needed, but unfortunately with the 2 Dora in the hand, it's going to be a little bit awkward to open for Tanyao. Especially with the person trying to catch you being immediately to your right. You don't really want to have to throw Dora tiles. It's not a great feeling. So you might just see them try to get to maybe a Pinfu Tenpai and then just stammer it or something like that. Yeah, Chiral's hand is just getting worse and worse by the draw. Managing to pivot this hand towards a Honitsu. You get the south tiles, you get the Honitsu. You need like an Akadora. It's gonna be tough. Does take the south tile. Yeah, he's gonna hard commit for the Honitsu. Meanwhile, Desu's hand looks to be wanting to be Chitoitsu, but yeah, that doesn't really feel great when you're trying to catch first. You don't really want to be fiddling around with a Chitoitsu Tenpai or Ishanten, just as we saw with Saber in the last hand. And yeah, Saber's hand very quickly progressing here. And a 5-pin find for Desu is very good too. And with the south call, with the 8-pin pawn, with these discards, everyone will be aware. Chiral going for that Honitsu is now Tenpai on the 5-pin for Honitsu south only, which I'm almost positive isn't enough to catch second. Even with a direct hit, you need like a 5-pin, or you need to try and get Toy. Khan throw over some Modoras, something. Saber also Ishanten. Probably will find a Tenpai waiting on a Manzu tile, so can pretty safely throw one against the Honitsu. It's just a question of whether you think Desu is waiting on a Manzu tile or not. And HOA also in last place, 9,000 points behind, trying to catch Chiral. This hand has potential, but I think we'll also fall a bit short. Riichi, Sumo, Tanya, Pinfu. With 8k, is it enough? It would be enough, I think, with a Sumo. But you're not getting that with Pinfu, so you need to find something else. In fact, this hand in general would be difficult to find Pinfu with. So Saber ended up drawing a 9-pin and didn't want to drop that into Chiral's Honitsu looking hand, so did end up throwing a 7-man. And now with the 2-pin draw, Saber's hand is probably not going to win here. There is the Aka 5-pin. If Chiral had kept the Tenpai, he would have won with the Aka 5-pin. now has to think about dropping the Haku, which is still live. Unknown to them, they have the only Haku that's been drawn so far. Does drop it. Now waiting on the 3-pin, 6-pin, but is Furiton. So looking to draw the last 6-pin or either of the 2 3-pins. HOA drops the 2-pin, no worries. With being in last, you just have to push. Saber finding a Tenpai, another Dora, does end up having the 2-pin cleared for them. So now can maybe able to find at least Tenpai payments or something. HOA now also Tenpai waiting on the 6-pin. If for some reason it was to come out from Desu, if Cairo wasn't Tenpai, wasn't Furiton, it would be head bump. And Saber also Tenpai now waiting on the 6, 9-pin, 4-pin. 4-man, not 4-pin. Does find the 6-pin. Sumo Dora 4 is a Mangan. Seals away to Hanchan for Ishkanare. Saber now with a 70-point jump over Tile Dreaming in second. And unfortunately for Junkan Sim and Junkan Ron taking third and fourth respectively. Unfortunate, but very strong game. I will check to see if Saber's got to be in. Check to see if they want a interview or not. I don't have the replay yet though, so we'll just have to see. I don't know. It's been a while since I think I've actually had Saber in for any interview, so I don't remember if they're someone that typically goes for it or not. In the meantime, I will bring open this other game here. We do have one other table finished. But this table is ongoing, and I think I see why. Hold on, why isn't that in 4? There you go. So yeah, this did immediately see that this Hanchan was still in South 2 on the replay. It's been a bit of a slobber knocker, I suppose. If I pull open the table. So this is Champon, the FA agents, Itsu Anko, and Pinfu Pals. A lot of teams here in the bottom half of the table. I think they all are. It's Champon, Pinfu Pals, FA agents, Itsu Anko, 9th through 14th. All the teams here within that bracket. In first place, we have the player representing the FA agents, who I've forgotten the name they go by in Discord. Give me a sec. This is Negligence, right. And then sitting in front of us, we have Jace, who is playing for Brain. Come on, Veggie. You can do it. Nope, no, I can't. Champon. There we go. So, big fight here for the first place. Abraham for Itsu Anko in third. Not too far. And with the last dealership, can make a push to try and secure a first place for Itsu Anko, which would be great for them to try and regain their spot in the top 8. Obviously, every team here really keen on points, so imagine they've all been fighting very hard. Does seem to have dragged on a bit. Yeah, again, this was South 2 when we joined. 40 minutes into a game. Quite not too long, but it's a bit long. Jace does open here with a Chi. Maybe aiming for the open Itsu, I imagine. But Negligence reaching to try and extend the lead on the 4-7 pin weight for Riichi, Dora, potentially another if they find the 7 pin. As for the weights, 3 left in the wall. And hasn't given them much to work with. They have a 3 pin, they have a 7 so, but apart from that, not a lot of information. So players might just end up pushing. You see the 4-mans, you see the 3-man as well from Jace. You see a 2 pin from Abraham. You see a 7-man from Havra. Like, you don't have a lot to work with, so you clear out a couple Suji. And Abraham did catch up. Is now waiting on the 6-9 so for Riichi, Pinfu, Dora. But the weight is not looking good. And the 4 pin does come out. So Riichi, Aka, no Ura. So does this remain 2 Han, 4 Negligence, opening up that lead to just over 4,000 points going into South 4. So Abraham here for Itsu Anko will be looking to, needs to win a couple hands probably. Obviously as a dealer you do have the potential for those big blowout wins, but really you're just looking to try and just keep winning. Just keep winning, even if it's only 1,000 points at a time. Or, 1,500 I guess. Looking around the table, Jace here has a pretty active hand. He has a Dora. Good, decent shapes. Not great shapes, but decent. Negligence across the table has a pair of the Chun. Can potentially open that. And Havra in the north seat has an Aka Dora, has a regular Dora in a completed Mensu. The hand's pretty good. But being that deep in the hole, getting anything more is pretty unreasonable. You're probably just looking to cash this in and try and recover some points so that the 4th isn't as painful. Yeah, you're 19,000 points behind dealer. It's pretty hard to get either a Baiman from this hand. 4-5-6 Sanshoku on the table. I'm just trying to think of anything. Sanshoku, Ipeiko. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. Would slow down the hand a lot trying to go for all that too. Alright, Abraham does open, waiting with the Hatsu in the hand. Does find the Tenpai, does find the Akadora from Jace, does pick up 4,000 points for their trouble. And that does shift the numbers around a little bit. So now we're looking at the situation. Abraham with the first win. Now, close the gap a little bit. 18,000 points behind the lead now. 10,000 points behind second. Is a bit easier for them to try and get up to second. But with that win, Negligence, after the direct hit from Jace into Abraham, Negligence now with a 8,000 point lead, can just try and win something to try and to end the game out. You don't have to go for something too expensive here. Abraham's hand once again, pretty good here. Needs to try and fill in the 7 pin Kanchan and the Pinzu there. Looking around the table, Havra's hand quite decent, but again, being so far in the hole, it's not quite enough right now. Is not that far from a Suanko. Does Khan, so there will be no Suanko, throwing open a new door at a 4 pin, of which they do have 2. Diamond Khan, very spicy. Does seal away all the 7 pins here. So you're going to see all the 8 pin and 9 pins come out now. Now Havra is Tenpai, waiting on the 2-month 4 pin, of which there is 2 left in the wall, 1 of each. So probably looking to find that the 4 pin, which they did turn over, which would be Tanyadora 3. But Jace is able to find Tenpai, reaching now, waiting on the 2-5-man for Riichi Haku. There's a 5-man straight away. 2-pin comes out from Havra, does deal into Jace here. Riichi putts Yaku high, Dora 2, Ura 4! Ura 4 for a 5-man direct hit. Does end up taking first place out from Negligence. That is an absolute upset. Absolutely amazing things. Ura 4. Havra dealing in with the Khan, which they flipped. And a big win there for Jason Shanpon. So with that, all the scores... not quite. I think Jay's working solo duty tonight. But he has updated 2 of the tables here. So we can see the 2 that we watched. We haven't got the first game score in. Let me change the scene over before I forget. See, I remembered this time. Here we go. But on the other table, we see... a win here from Urasan, but better with Nguyen. Second for Order of the Sparrow. Third for Feared and Double Reach. And Daniel Sensation taking a 4th. Luckily, they are probably still well within top 8 range for now. But you do see that with the second place from Tile Dreaming and the 4th from Tanya Sensation, the gap has closed a little bit. Yeah, very, very spicy South 4. And then if I can quickly remember, actually the second place from Tile Dreaming hasn't even come in yet. And this first from Saber for Oishkanare will put them back into the top 8. Shampan will just fall out. Oishkanare with a 70-point swing will go up to 5th. Couple about 40 points behind 4th, which is now a 80-point gap for Crimson Wanderers over Feared and Double Reach. So yeah, great Hanchans. We'll quickly take a 5-minute break here, and then we'll be back with the second Hanchan, which will be, as I said earlier, game 3 here: Champagne, Feared and Double Reach, Order of the Sparrow, and the FA Agent. So we'll see Jace again. We'll see Negligence. And we'll see Wildstar and CK Cost. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes. So don't go anywhere. And I'll throw the music back on for you guys. Alrighty, thanks for waiting. Hope everyone was able to get up, stretch their legs a little bit. And with that, we'll be getting underway here momentarily with the next game. Yeah, the game 3 is already started. Oh, I have the wrong thing open. There we go. Oh, that's the old one. Here we are. So let me get this loaded up, get the seating sorted. All the games have started now. Excellent work to Jay, working overtime duty on his own tonight. Alrighty, so we'll be starting here with Wildstar in the East seed and Nooks, followed by Jace in the South, Negligence in the West, and CK Cause in the North. So, great for me, not too much shifting I need to do. That's right. Yep, good job. Good job, me. Alrighty, and that should be pushed through to here now. Excellent. Alrighty, so this Hanchan as well, quite a good one for watching purposes. Pinfu Pao have actually apparently fallen into 4th. They must have taken a couple awkward losses. Some FA agents pulling some decent, okay-ish points. But we have Champon, who are just outside the top 8 now. The FA agents in 13th, 14th, and Furitan Double Reach, who are in 6th, who have been hovering around mid-table in the top 8 for a couple of weeks now. So they will be looking to grab the first, obviously, to try and secure that top 8 spot. After this, your teams will be looking to have about 7 games or so left. And then obviously all the teams that are on the bottom, Champon, FA agents, and Pinfu Pals, are just looking to really push. Champon a little less. They are just outside the top 8, so they don't have to push as hard to try and make up the difference in these top 8 spots. In fact, they're only 30 points behind Order the Sparrow. And here are some but better. Furitan Double Reach are not that far ahead of them. But as we've seen all season, you're not safe just by getting into the top 8. You need to really get into a spot where you don't have to stress about decisions going against your way, to force you to drop out if you don't just keep winning and having to, win by attack. You want to be able to just get to a spot where you can be safe, be stress-free, just be able to start looking forward to the top 8. So apart from that, we'll be looking for big wins here from the FA agents, Pinfu Pals once again. This gap they need to surmount isn't insurmountable, but you need to start it with a big win, and then you need to not just lose it all again. So that's what we'll be looking to see. Alright, let me just drop the music down here. In fact, we'll just mute it entirely. And we will be underway here within the next 60 seconds. Starting with Wildstar for Furitan Double Reach. I feel like a lot of my games that I've cast this season, the teams in the East seed have just not had a very good time. They're always they might win one hand, but they never seem to really get into a great lead early. It's always someone else comes in and then wins a Hariman or a Baiman or a Mangan, and then jumps out to an early lead, and we get these sort of very quick Hanchans, more or less. With, the first dealer just maybe winning one for a little bit, maybe a Mangan. And then that's it. It's been a couple weeks since I've really seen an East 1 Rampage. I always find them to be a little bit exciting, because you're in for a good long game, typically. So just drinking some water, and we are underway. Wildstar with a pretty nice starting hand is, in fact... Oh, it's so close to being Ishanten. Oh, that's a good find, though. And I was immediately had my eyes drawn to their right with Jace with, 9 honor tiles and, 9 sows, and... does end up just dropping the south and the west, playing standard, keeping the uncle the norths. Across the table here, this hand is... Oh, this is a good hand for Wildstar. Negligence across the table. This hand has potential, has 3 pairs right now, though. It's workable, but you need to try and to fix the awkward shapes here, and CK costs as well. The hand's not that bad, but it's not as fast as Wildstar, who does find Tempai, does Riichi on the 7-man, waiting for the Kanchan 6-man, which would be Riichi, Dora, Ipeiko, for a pretty decent hand for East 1. As I was saying just before, this doesn't seem to really happened a lot in the games I broadcast, but here we are. We've got a potential decent start here. Very early dealer Riichi will put the table on alert. We'll have to work around the dealer Riichi to try and build their hands. In fact, you see Jace has dropped the 9-man. He dropped a pair, or one of the Norths, so you can use it as a pair instead, or you can just keep them for completely safe tiles. Yeah, the saving grace for the rest of the table is, as is typically the case with these early Riichis, is the weight isn't great. It is effectively a tanky. 2 left in the wall, 1 in Jace's hand, which I imagine won't come out unless something weird happens. You pick up an extra one and then you want to push some Tempai or something. Jace's hand is trending towards Chitoy at the moment. It does drop the free pin. I hate when this happens, when you're trying to play defense and the hand you just start collecting bears, and it's just oh man. Where's all my safe tiles? Yeah, and you can see a lot of the players here, the Aka 5-man there from Negligence. It was passed earlier by CK Cos as well. 6-pin was safe, 7-pin was safe. Haku was probably safe, 1-pin safe. It looks to be most of the players here, at least, not pushing anything too dangerous now, that their hands haven't really developed, and the hands coming to an end, and it does come to an end in emphatic fashion. Riichi Sumo, Ipeiko, Akadora for Dila Mangan, and we started off with a bang for Wildstar, for Furitan Double Reach, and he is keeping on going. This hand is another absolute amazing starting hand. We have a Dora, we have an Akadora, we have Tanyao virtually guaranteed. You just need to maybe try and avoid the 1-man. Jace to our right, another hand with apparently 17 different honor tiles. The 1-man immediately comes, because of course it does. Across the table, Negligence has a Dora, has an Akka as well of their own. Hand is pretty good, but I don't think it's quite as fast here as Wildstar's. Who now is Ishantem, but it's really awkward. The worst shape that you have to work with is the one with the 2 Dora, so you don't really want to really throw any of that. So it does throw the 4-pin here. Hoping to find pin through, I imagine. If you can find a 6-man, you can, really up the value of the hand by accepting the pin through. Jace now with a pair of the South Winds, having thrown the Haku and the Hatsu earlier. Now can open the hand if they can find their Yakuhai tile, which is immediately drawn by Negligence. So Jace does decide the pawn. The hand is open. the hand wasn't too slow, but it's going to be a bit difficult to catch up if you're holding on to these honor tiles. You have to anchor one of them. You have to fill the Penchan in the 1/2 shape there. So the opening really does speed up the hand at the cost of value, as it typically does. But South Dora 1, nothing to sneeze at. And yeah, and it picks up an Arca Dora to go with the value. So now the hand's looking pretty nice, pretty good. CK Cos to the left, who I haven't really had much chance to talk about this hand, has been quietly building their hand together. Some pretty good tiles here. Did find the 7-pin just before to fill in a Penchan shape. Is trying to, I imagine, hold on to the 9-pins as a pair, so that they can work in the Manzu here, like something like this, where you can turn it into a Sanmenchan. Or, you know, something similar. Nice, I'm dropping frames. Very good. Does end up actually dropping the 9-pin, so can obviously just keep the 5 Mons there as a pair. Is now 10 Pi waiting on the 6-9 pin if they want to, 6-9 so if they want to take the Riichi, and they do. And yeah, this was the problem for Wildstar's hand, is you're looking for this, and now you're 10 Pi. And you are 10 Pi on the 5-8 pin, but you need the 5 pin specifically for Sanshoku here, because you are you are Yakunashi without it, and the 8 pin cannot be taken as a winning tile here. So now you have the awkward decision. You have to end up throwing the 1 man here. So now we're 10 Pi waiting on the 4 man for Tanyao Dora 2. No, not Sanshoku. But again, you're Furden. So you have to end up finding the 4 mans. So the 4 mans themselves are 1 left in the wall. So not looking too good here for Wildstar. As for the 6-9 so, the 6-9 so is actually pretty good here. 4 left in the wall. So 2 of each. So decent chances here for CK Cos to sumo even. Negligence's hand isn't that far off 10 Pi, but would have to push some tiles, and that's a bit awkward. And Wildstar here, cheese to take themselves out of Furiton, but 9-so comes from Jace, dealing into the Riichi Pinfu. No Ura. But does take the dealership away from Wildstar. That was so unfortunate for Wildstar. Just the worst set of draws you can imagine. But is rewarded here with another very nice hand. You've got the East, you've got the Hatsu, you've got pretty clear Honitsu chances. Even the Pinzu's Dora. So we'll have to see exactly how this hand progresses here. Around the table, our new dealer Jace has some pretty good shapes to work with after the couple hands they started with earlier. That must feel a bit better. Pinfu looks to be very much on the horizon here. Even Tanyao isn't anything unreasonable with the right draws. And yeah, Wildstar pushing this Honitsu is immediately, the 3-man is backfired. Would have found a 4-man to go with it. To our left, Jace here, 4 Dora already. Can make use of all of them. The 5-sos in a Ryanman shape. The 3 pins can be kept as a pair. You just have to find like a 6-pin or even a 4-pin and, work something else around that. Potentially big hand here for CK Cos. Across the table, Negligence. Itsu's, definitely a possibility here. Wildstar finding the East is now Ishanten. The Haku, I imagine, will be coming before too long. Can even take this for Tenpai, and does. Now waiting on 6-pin for Hatsu, Ton, Honitsu for Mangan. No can't. So the 6 pins are 3 left in the wall, so pretty decent odds. But if you can manage to find a 5 or 7 pin, you'd like to turn this into a toy. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see exactly how the hand plays out here for Wildstar. In the meantime, players are still sort of trying to catch up. This 5-pin, it's not great of a pit find for CK because you've already got enough pairs. Does allow you to confirm the Arcadora if you want to keep that as, you know, some sort of a Champon weight in the end. Negligence's hand is shifting towards that Itsu. Needs to find a 4-so or a 7-so. And then they are able to be Tenpai. With the Chun as a pair, unfortunately, you have lost out on that Pinfu. Oh, okay. Wildstar calls the West. So now is confirming the Toy Toy. Chooses to go with the 7-pin. So now we're looking at the Tanky 7-pin. One left in the wall, one left in CK Koz's hand, which shouldn't come out. Especially with what looks like a pretty obvious Honitsu. Does find a 1-pin now. Does throw it. So isn't too worried. Probably sees the called 2 pins. He sees all the rest of the 1-pins in the pond, and it has to be exactly Tanky 1-pin probably, and get playing a little bit with fire, but isn't punished this time, and is itching closer towards Tenpai themselves. Jace's hand as well. It now is Tenpai. Does throw the 8-pin. Was Suji to the 5-pin throne. Oh, another 7-pin. Luckily, it is right next to the recent Riichi tile. So Jace does throw the 6-man, which was again Butsu to both. Jace's weight is far too complex for me to consider. And I believe, Negligence was Tenpai waiting on I think the Tanky 3-pin. So let's see. We've got, I think it's just a 4-7-pin south weight here for Jace. Yes. One south left in the wall. 4 pins are dead. The 7 pins are now dead because the last one did just go into CK Koz's stand recently. So we will probably hit Ryokoku here. Unless, no. If there was a Tenpai by CK Koz in the last draw, they might want to throw 7-pin to try and keep the Tenpai, but yeah. You know, a different Tenpai maybe. But that is Ryokoku for everybody. Tenpai for everybody. So we do not see any movement of points, and we do go once again. So firstly, our dealer here opens up with a Chi on the 7-so. We'll be waiting on the East Tower to come out, and depending on that for their Yaku, it seems not too easy to get a Yaku otherwise. So we'll have to see how that plays out for them. Negligence across the table has a pair of Chun. Hanging Dora tile in the hand for now. Not too much else going on with the hand immediately. To our left, CK Koz has some pretty good shapes here in the Soza and the Pinzu. This hand could maybe become a Tanyao. Could become a couple different things depending on how they play it out. Has an uncle the 4-so now as well, which does lock away tiles potentially. And in front of us here, Wildstar, pair of Chun also, so would be Mochi here with Negligence, unless one just decides to end up tossing one. Has a pair of South tiles, which don't do anything right now. Overall, has 3 pairs, has some interesting tiles. Does call the 7-pin, so... It's going to be a bit awkward. If they're relying on the Chun there for their Yaku, if Negligence doesn't decide to throw theirs, this hand will never find Tenpai. Or at least won't find a Tenpai you can win with. On the other hand, if you pair up a couple more things, you can shift this towards a Toy Toy, which might end up being the winning strategy here for Wildstar, if they end up suspecting the Chun's are Mochi. And with that, we've pretty much covered everything as things stand right now. So we're just going to be waiting to see who draws what, to see how the hands really progress here. It'll be very interesting to see the East tile. if a player decides to throw the east. Or you can just draw it. Okay, well that solved that problem for Jace. So now Jace has found the Yaku. This is now East Shanten. For ton only. But well, double ton, I guess technically. Isn't too far from a no, this is a Toy. What am I saying? The Chi is absolutely ruined the chance at Toy. And Wildstar finding the Haku. So there is one left in the wall. So now the hand has opened up a little bit for Wildstar. They're not just reliant on the Chun, they can find the Haku. There's only one Hatsu thrown as well, so you can even find a... Oh, sorry, there hasn't been. There's been two. So the Hatsu, I imagine, will be coming before too long for Wildstar. Chi here from Jace puts them into Tenpai. Choosing to go with the Kanchan Tuso. Maybe playing off the Suji idea, that since they just threw a 5-so not too long ago. Oh, and this could spell doom here for Wildstar, because now you can throw the Hatsu. You might want to see that and think it's one cut. Does come. Oh, unlucky. Does deal in to the double ton. Luckily, it's not much more. The prospect of maybe a Shosangan, a bit too tough for Wildstar to turn down. Especially also for Toy chances. Unfortunate, but that's how it goes. And we go again, Jace, with a second Honba. With the first Rikyoku and the second win. Two small... well, the first they didn't win, but the small victory there of the double ton. Trying to draw in Wildstar with the direct hit helps a little bit. 12,000 points behind now. This hand, once again, the shapes aren't very bad for Jace at all. 3 pins, a great find. Is now Ishanten, in fact. Negligence across the table. Eyeing off a Ipeiko, maybe. Pretty good shapes all round. Throws the hanging 2-pin. You can even accept Dora with this hand, which is nice. To our left, CK causes hand, pretty average. He's dropped a lot of honor tiles. So it's just trimming the fat. Penchan has the Manzu shape to work with. 6 Mon is a good find here for Wildstar. Now has that Ryanmen shape that they can play around with in the Manzu. 2 Shantan, I believe, for Wildstar. If there was somebody here who could count Shantan, they'd let you know. Unfortunately, it's stuck with me. Yeah, it is 2 Shantan. Too many pairs right now with the 7 pin, 7 so does throw that one back. And yeah, we're just waiting. Assuming here Jace will find Tenpai first. The weight is pretty good. Ryanmen. Could even take a Shabo weight if you are so inclined. If you draw the 4 or 7 pin and want to go for that. They can accept Pinfu with this hand, so I imagine you wouldn't want to. But we did see them go with the 2-so weight there earlier, so who can say for sure? But yeah, they do forever hanging 2 man here. The West tile in the hand. 1 cut for now, but you can probably assume it'll be safe. So shaping up to be a Riichi Pinfu Dora 1. Yeah, very, very respectable dealer hand. But does need to find the Tenpai first. The 1-mons are gone. The 4-mons are all still pretty good. 3 left in the wall. And then the 4 pins, the 7 pins we can see are all the 7 pins. But the 4 pins are still pretty good. 2 left in the wall for that. So we're just waiting. God, it sucks to be on the receiving end of this when you're playing the game. Negligence, unable to find a 3-man since the start of the game as well, so still stuck with this 1, 2, 3-man shape. Now starts to trim it down. Has accepted the fact that the Peiko is not coming. And TK Kaz, still with this Penchan, still with this Manzu shape. Does now cut the 1-man from that. Having just been thrown by Negligence. in case you were worried about any weird Manzu hands dummering quietly in on the table. Alright, a pawn from negligence here does put them into Tenpai, but with no Yaku. Wildstar also Ishanten. Just throws another 7 man here. And Tenpai also for Jace now on that 1-4 man. Wait. 7 pin came, but again, negligence has no Yaku, so could not take it. Swapped up the weight to a 6 pin, but that is still no Yaku. So it looks like we're going to Rukoku once again with 3 Tenpais. 5/8 so here for Wildstar, but no. CK calls the only payment here. Rukoku. And takes us into East 2, Homba 3. Delicious, delicious water. So we go once again. Jace's hand that they're working up with this time a bit slower. But the shapes, I mean, the tiles you have aren't terrible. There's a lot of acceptance there, so with a couple quick draws, you can see a pretty normal hand shape up here. Around the table, negligence with a pair of Ton, has an Akadora, a lot of Sozo tiles. Is thinking about Hanetsu, cut the 8 man, cut the 8 pin. Does take Tenpai here, which is Tenpai on the East 5 man for Riichi only right now. Riichi Dora, I guess, with the Akadora. You find the East, it's another Han. Find the 5 man, it's diddly squat. But the weight's good. Both Easts are still in the war. 1 5 man still left in the war. So we'll see how the players react to this very early Riichi. The good thing for them is the 8 pin, the 8 man, and the 3 pin give a little bit of information. I feel like I would have liked to see like a little bit of patience maybe from negligence. The Hanetsu wasn't that very far off. And okay, Jace drawing the first East win. CK Goss drawing the last 5 man, and that 5 man will slot into their hand. Goes with the 8 so for now. Suji to the 5 so discarded by the Riichi. Lastly, Wildstar Perachun did play safely around the Riichi. We had an 8 pin, we had a 1 so which was Dora Suji, we had an 8 man, Genbutsu Hatsu, which was Genbutsu, as it was discarded. Well, no, not Genbutsu, it was 1 cut. Sorry. Reading discards is difficult. Alright, and that's the first real push, I think, by anybody. Jace did forever 2 man, I guess. It's like not really safe. It's like, if you think about it, the 2 man lies on the same Suji as the 5/8 man if it's a San Menchan weight. So you can, it's not real Suji. It's like fake Suji. It's like tofu Suji. CK Cos does choose to open now, eyeing off an Itsu. Since we're throwing caution to the winds, we don't mind throwing dangerous tiles in. Looks to be that Jace is folded. Wildstar, I don't think it's folded yet. They haven't really had to push anything since the other players have been doing it for them. And CK Cos did manage to find their 8 pin for the Itsu only. Does end the dealership, picks up the extra points from the Homba, and also manages to pick up the Riichi stick that was thrown in. So it wasn't a terrible pickup, all things considered, for for an open Itsu only. Does take us now to East 3. We are 25 minutes into this Hanchan, and we're in East 3. This could potentially be quite a long one. So starting here with Negligence, Haku pair just picked up. We have Dora Acceptance. We have 2 pairs. We have 3 pairs with the Haku. Hand's pretty average, all things considered. To our left here, CK Cos started with an Anko to 2-pin. Okay, so Shape's got a pair of the Hatsu also, so can also choose to open with an Akadora. Cash in a little bit of points here with a decent find. If you manage to find what you need, rather. Wildstar in front of us and now has a pair of the East Winds, which are 0 cut, so we'll hold on to those. Players looking to progress their hands might end up just throwing the East Winds, as is wont to happen eventually. Lastly, to our right, Jace, pair of the West Winds, North Wind, 2 North Winds now, which is their seat. It is only 1 cut, so you could have the next one come out. Does seem to be at least considering that chance. In that meantime, Wildstar has opened their hand. With the East Wind, they decided to hard push for a Honitsu. Does cheat a 6-pin, does call the East Wind. So we'll have a bit of work to actually find the Tempai. Does chi, that is a bit of a loose chi, but whatever. Oh, so yeah, really, well, that might help. Was they reliant on the 2 pins, which are uncode up and the last one discarded. So they can just do something else. So first the Hatsu, which can be called by CK Cos. Might want to. You've got a bunch of calls on the table already. This hand isn't likely to find Tempai before someone else wins, but doesn't take it. Now Negligence with the option to Khan the 1-sos. Does do so. Throws over a new door of a 9-man. Throws the 1-pin, which does put Wildstar into a Tanki Tempai on the 9-pin. Oh, what's it called? Atahamane Tanki. I can speak Japanese, I promise. The 9-pins themselves, 2 left in the wall, so it's actually not bad, all things considered. This would be a Honitsu Dora 1 hand for a Mangan for Wildstar. Would put them into a pretty decent first place. Meanwhile, Negligence is Tenpai on the 7-pin. There's the 9-pin does avoid it for now. This is very obviously a Hardnitsu hand. So players might be quite hesitant to throw Pinzu tiles, and now Jace has Tenpai waiting on the 6-9 pin. So we know the 9-pin situations, 1 left in the wall. 6 pins, however. I'm just waiting here, because if we swap up the weight, which does look to be better, but will deal into Jace. The Riichi Ipatsu Dora 2 Ura from the Khan does bring the hand up to Mangan and does erase Wildstar's lead, handing it over to Jace, who is now our new leader on 30,000 points. Takes us to East 4 for CK Cos with the Order of the Sparrow. Their starting hand has the East Winds, but not a lot going for it otherwise. In front of us, we have Wildstar, a lot of Dragon Tiles, including one of the Dora, which we just see discarded from Negligence's hand, who is progressing quite quickly. Potential for a San Anko, not too far here for Negligence. To our right, Jace has some pretty good shapes. The Pinzu's already complete with 2 Mensus. We have 2 Ryanmans in the Sozo. It's a bit awkward, but you can just throw the East Wind, the West Wind for now. Pretty good chances here for Jace to find tiles. I really need to really progress the hand. Lastly, CK Cos did call the East Wind, but yeah, as I said earlier, their hand is just it's a bit awkward. They have drawn a couple shades. We have a pair. We still have a Penchan. We have 2 Ryamas. We have a hanging 1. So, does find the 7-pin to fill the Penchan. Obviously, can call with the double ton, which would just be double ton only. But unbeknownst to them, potentially defusing a bomb here from Negligence, who is now Ishanten. Jace as well, trying to find this Tenpai. The shapes are good, you just need to find the right tiles. We'll be looking to get a little bit of payback. That helps. That clears out one of the Rionmans. And the Hakus are being thrown with abandon. Absolutely zero respect. Wildstar does hold on to their last Haku. Can pair it up for extra points here, which would help this hand's value. But now CK Cos is Tenpai, waiting on the free 6-man. 1 6-man left in the wall, all 3-mans left in the wall. So decent odds here for CK Cos to win their dealership and go again. Jesus, can't find this Tenpai. This is actually this is Tenpai here. He'd have to throw a Tuso, which does. Waiting on the 1 Forso. The 1 Sos are 1 left in the wall. The 4 Sos are 3 left in the wall. So not bad, all things considered. You can see a lot of the 1 Sos. It must feel a bit awkward to Riichi with this information. There's a 3-man. That's going to deal in, unfortunately, to CK Cos. For the doubleton only. But a tidy little 4,000 point pickup here for CK Cos. Puts them right into contention for the first place, which is now a tight race between 3 players. Negligence only 6,000-7,000 points behind is definitely not out of this Hanchan at all. So a very good East round, all things considered. Very interesting from a spectator standpoint. So we go once again. CK Cos here with a pair of South and a hanging East tile. We'll hold on to the East, I imagine, for a little bit, but it decides to throw it here. Seeing that some of the shapes are coming together. Does get called by Negligence, who did have a pair, so good decisions, I guess, all round. And Negligence now free to call to their heart's desire is Ishanten for Dora free at this stage. We'll probably want to fill in like a 6-man here, so we obviously would have to see it discarded by Jace. But does find now an 8-man, so they can instead get rid of the 3-man, the 3-so. And now we have a Rionman wait for Negligence, who's looking primed to take a quick win here with an East Dora free. But that being said, Wildstar is now Tenpai, gives up on the Itsu chances they had, but will make things a bit awkward for the rest of the table here. Negligence now with 2 calls will find it hard to defend against a Riichi from Wildstar, who is waiting on the 2-5 pin. The 2 pins are 1 left in the wall, and the 5 pins are 1 left in the wall also. So 2 waits here for Wildstar. Isn't great, but one of them is Dora, and the other could be Akadora. So not too bad, all things considered, but it would just at this stage it is just Riichi only. And there is a 5-man. This is very awkward here for Negligence. Now forced to throw a 5-man, and then well, they know it's safe now, but obviously would have to throw the other Arca, which does kind of throw it away. The 4-pin draw, not safe at all. So it does go into the hand for Negligence. It will be difficult, as I said, to work around this Riichi with the calls. So bit challenging. We'll have to see how this hand progresses. The players otherwise do seem to be playing a little bit safely. The 4-pin is thrown once Negligence does find the 6-man to cheat. So now we have another Tenpai on the table. The 4-7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 left in the wall, which is a 4-so. 15 draws left, and the 5-pin is found by Wildstar. Riichi, Sumo, Niura. So we do remain with a small win. But that does end that East round, that marathon East round of 35 minutes. Wildstar, with that win, does take back the first for now, going into their second dealership. Does find the Chun here early to open with. The shapes in the hand are generally a bit slow, so I do like this open. Try and speed up the hand to try and find your Tenpai and bank some more points. Jace to our right has a pretty good hand also, having slimmed down the edge tiles and the honor tiles. Wildstar, he can Khan? Doesn't. Oh, come on. Live a little. We love to see Khans. Like a nice Ura 4. As we saw a bit earlier. CK comes to our left. Also with a very nice hand. And Anko up the 2-pin once again. Shapes are pretty good. Tanyao's pretty likely here. Across the table, negligence as well. The shapes aren't bad. We have 2 completed Mensus in the Sozo with the chance to shift towards an Ipeiko. Realm and wait in the Manzu. Just a bit of awkward Pinsu tiles, but most of those I imagine will come out here. Like a 4-pin would be nice to find, and then you can just throw the 9-7 pin. That does find the Ipeiko, so there we go. Yeah, and since we've looked at Wildstar's hand, it's just slow. And that's why I did like the open, but you just haven't managed to find the tiles, and CK Cos hasn't thrown anything that you've really needed. So the shapes is a lot. We've got the Akadora, we've got 2 pairs, like it's a bit awkward. And now you've just drawn a Dora. They've been thrown first, so you can just throw that, and does. And yeah, we reached that point where we're just waiting to see how the hands develop. CK Cos has potentially got an Ipeiko brewing of their own. And Arkadora here drawn by Negligence is actually really good, because they can now pretty much confirm a Tanyao if they really want to. Or just find the 4-pin. There we go. Riichi on the 1/4-man. Which the weight is actually pretty good. 1/1-man, 3 4-mans left in the wall. And CK Cos is now also Tenpai, waiting on the 6/9-man. The 6-man will give the Yaku. We'll give 2 Yaku actually. It's very nice. Will be Tanyao Ipeiko. If they sumo over 9-man, that's also fine, because they can win with sumo only. And does decide to end up as reaching the Sumo Ryuri reach here. So if we're looking at the weights as well, oh, you buffered it. The 6-mans aren't too good, but the 9-mans aren't terrible. Riichi putts, doesn't find anything else, and missed out on the Ipeiko and the Tanya naturally. But yeah, nice little find here. Negligence has been unfortunately a bit of the punching bag in the table. And we see, first of all, Jace throwing a 4-pin, committing to at least a Chanta with this hand. So imagine we might see the 6-0 come next. Does this throw a Southwind? Don't hate that. But, I mean, you're not going to use a 6-0 if you're committing to a Chanta. Might even be committing to Junchan. Wildstar in front of us. Hold on, before I get to Wildstar, I just realized that I noticed the Ankos and the pairs that Negligence had, but they also have an Anko to Dora. Very strong starting hand for them is now Ishanten, with what could be an absolute bomb. Could have even, you can't really achieve that. You'd have to find a Hatsu, which is, bad. But if Jace keeps committing to this Junchan, the Hatsu could come from him pretty soon. You might feel a bit awkward just going for Hatsu Dora free, but it's still great. And yeah, we do see the Chi, the open does come. So Tenpai now, Hatsu 5-so for Negligence, then that Hatsu very loose in this Jace's hand. If they continue to push towards Tenpai, we could see that come pretty soon. There's another 1-man. There's the Hatsu. Does deal in Hatsu Dora free. for a Mangan and brings Negligence straight back into the Hanchan. And pushes Chase a little bit behind that. That was their dealership, their last dealership. So now they are on 17,000 points. Not out of things, but with some work to do. But Negligence, as the dealer, wakes up with a pretty good hand again. Very good Manzu shapes. Bensu in the Ramen in the Pinzu. Very good acceptance all around. For Negligence to the left, CK Cos, decent hand as well. Pinzu's shapes are very nice, completed Mensu. The Sozo's workable. You got a pair of the West Winds. In front of us, Wild Star's hand. It's not the worst. You got a potential Sanshoku, but Penchan, and you're missing two of the Manzu shapes. But I mean, it could happen. It could happen. And to our right, Jace has a pair of the Chuns, has an Akadora. But the hand has a little bit to work with. You really want to open this with the Chun, I think. You're not going to be able to catch up to the other players otherwise. He does manage to find the first one so with the hander. Okay, and Negligence now with the 6-man. Can use it as a pair. And now we have a Tanya as well. We've even got a potential 6-7-8 Sunshoku. For this could be Tanya Sunshoku, could be Pinfu, could be Riichi. Could be a couple different things. So we'll have to see who finds the Tenpai first here. CK Cos is still not too far off. Is also Tushanten. Yes, Tushanten. Wildstar is catching up. But Negligence does find their Tenpai, waiting on the 5-8 so. The 8 Zos now have all been scooped up into people's hands. But the 5 Zos are 2 left in the wall. So we're looking at 2 draws left for the Riichi here. For Riichi, Pinfu, potential Sanshoku. But most likely not. Oh, was this? This is actually, this is Furiton, isn't it? Actually, I've just realized this. No, it's not. It's not. I don't know why I thought I was. I was like, oh, but the 9-man. Yeah, no. So, yeah, with the dealer Riichi, again, these are tense times because you don't really want to deal into a dealer Riichi because among God Direct, it's 12k. It basically takes you out of a Hanchan more times than not. So we do see players throwing Genbutsu tiles. Wildstar's almost definitely at the hand. Another Dora pickup here from Jace. Now with 3 Dora, but still pretty far from Tenpai. Does push the 1 pin. You can see all the 3 pins, so it's not the worst push. Now Ishanten. The south is 1 cut. The 7-man is not safe, but does get thrown here. Jace with a potential upset of Negligence's Riichi here. If they can find Tenpai and then manage to win in the next 10 draws. The 4 pin is offered and passed. The last 5 Sos did get picked up while I've been waffling as well. Wildstar is trying to not deal in, throws the 8 pin now. Has a couple danger tiles in the hand. I think we'll manage to navigate this safely. The 3 Sos Genbutsu dealer. Jace could not find Tenpai. 6 pin offered to CK Cos, but would have to like... Yeah, wouldn't be able to find Tenpai anyway. So Rikoku for Negligence. Scooping up 3,000 points on your dealer turns, nothing to sneeze at. And Negligence now 2,500 points back from first in South 3. It's an exciting hand, and even more exciting because Jace here, Ishanten would have to throw the Akadora, the Aka 5 pin, to really make use of the shapes. So throws the 3-1 for now. Has their own winners at Anko, has free Dora, potential turnaround chance for Jace here to bring them back into the Hanchan. Has a 5, so you can lock in your 5, so it's your pair, and then try and work something else out. Negligence, our dealer, woke up with another okay-ish hand, but not as fast as the others. And Jace the backfire the 3-1, unfortunately. But time left to find another tile to work with. In front of us, Wildstar, 3 pairs and an Anko. CK Koz's hand is a bit slow. The potential's there, but compared to some of the other hands, he's definitely the furthest behind. Another Dora pickup for CK Koz here. We can definitely find a Tempai here. It's pretty slow. Negligence also has just sort of been drawing honor tiles and shuffling things around. Okay, 5 souls, good start here for CK Koz. Now Ishanten. Oh wait, is it Ishanten? No, not even. 2 Shanten still. And Wildstar as well does cut one of their pairs. I mean, I always hope to see, some sort of a Saranko, Suanko. It's exciting. That's what we want to see as spectating when we're spectating Hanchans, but not to be this time. And Jace as well. This hasn't really managed to find the tiles they need. Holding on to this Hatsu as a safe tile as well. Ishanten. But you're sort of really just working with the 2 Ryanmans. Does Further have the safe tile Hatsu? CK Koz still also trying to find their Ishanten and their Tempai. Already into the 3rd row here. This hand has a chance to just end up with Kyoku. Ishanten now for Negligence. With the Aka 5-man draw. Does throw the 4-pin. Does find Tenpai. And does take Damaten Tenpai. That's a redundant sentence. Damaten. Waiting on the 6-pin, 9-pin, which I imagine is... it's 2 left in the wall, actually. 2 9-pins left. And does find it. Would it be Pat Sumed? Sumed Pinfu, Dora Aka. The Riichi would have made that Honeyman. No? No, not quite. Oh, yeah, I would have. Oh well. Not to know, but it is another dealer win in this already 50-minute long Hanchan. Takes us into South 3 Honba 2. The starting hand from Negligence, it's workable. It's workable with the right tiles. To our left, CK Koz hand is also not terrible. Pretty good acceptance. We have Dora chances, of which now Negligence has 2. In front of us, we have Wildstar with a Chi Toy Shanten, not Tempai. Use your right words. And to our right, we have Jace with some pretty good shapes also, but with the Penchan and the Pinzu, we'll likely see that come out before anything else. Yeah, Wildstar with the option here to open instead of going for G2A, and does. So now, still Ishanten with the 2 Arkadora. Tanya Arkadora 2 is not too bad. There's the backfire on the Tuso, naturally missing out on the chance for a Toy Toy. And now Negligence with a 2-pin can take it, but would have to end up dropping a door unless they can find more. Kyle, your match went on for about 45 minutes, I think it was. I think we finished about on 50. So with the 5-minute delay on our end, I don't know. I can't math. It was a pretty long match though, but this one is shaping up to be longer. It's about average, I think, for a lot of games that I have ended up watching on stream. I tend to find about the 40 minutes sort of where we tend to sit. Can't hear from Wildstar, who did draw the 8-pin, turns over the 5-pin as a new Dora, giving themselves 2 more Doras. So now this hand is Chun Dora 4. Unfortunately, no way to make use of the 5-pin as like another call, really. But doesn't matter because you find the Forso, you'd sumo, and you've taken first away from Negligence into South 4. CK Cos now, with the last dealership, is, what's that, 8,000 points behind second? That's like 7-4 or something. Math is hard. With the dealership, 7-4 is definitely achievable to at least take back second. And first is only another 2,000 points past that. So Dealer Mangan obviously will very easily get you there. Direct hit or sumo. This hand doesn't have Dealer Mangan potential. Not right now. Wildstar 2 Akadora with a regular Dora is poised to have another decent victory if they can find their way to a Tenpai. Jace 2 outright in last place, has a Hatsu pair, has potential not Sanhanko, words, what are my words? Sanshoku chances with the 2-3-4 shape there. Lastly, Negligence across the table has the loose Hatsu, which might get dealt into Jace. It was passed on by Jace, so they do want more, or they're planning on using it as a pair. And with the South tile from Negligence as well. This hand is not too far from Tenpai. Chi here from Wildstar will be, I guess, aiming for a Tanyao Dora now 4. Tanyao Dora 4. For another Mangan potential victory for them. Puritan Double Reach would enjoy a nice little bump of points there to really secure their spot in the top 8. Another 9-pin draw from CK Cos turns that into an Anko, but the hand is still Ishanten with some difficult shapes to work with and not a lot of value. Wildstar drawing another Chun can now call the last one if it is offered. Does want to try and win a hand here because you're not very far in front of second. Pretty much any victory from Negligence outside of like a Tanya Nomi or something is pretty much going to take away your first. So you really want to just win anything. You don't want to give them a chance. The 4-pin is offered here to Wildstar, who could take it and then throw a Chun and then have to throw another Chun. So it doesn't really help the Shanten count, but you are relying on the last Chun. otherwise. So does take it, now has the choice, does end up throwing the chun out. So doesn't like the chances on waiting for the last chun, going with the Tanyao hand. CK cause, yeah, there's too many pairs. The hand has not really come together. It was a bit awkward to start with, but the draws just haven't really been helping them out. Jace still trying to find this 3-4-5 Sanshoku as well. Jace is 12k behind third, so yeah, you're looking for a Hanuman. Still Ishanten for Wildstar. Chi here from Negligence puts them into Tenpai for a Tanyao Dora 1, but is reliant on the 6-pin. Otherwise, we'll see, just like we saw last hand with the the Puritan gum, and now Wildstar hit Riichi waiting on the 5-8 pin, and Jace Riichi waiting on the 2-5 pin. So the 8 pins are 1 left. The 2-5 pins are 3 left. Jace's hand couldn't find the Sanshoku, so it's just trying to cash in some value here. CK Cuz is most likely not going to be Tenpai, so the game will be ending here, Rukyoku or otherwise. 7-man is thrown and is pawned by Negligence, who goes with the 5-8 pin Tanki, which is doesn't matter how much is left. Jay Sumo ends the game. 1 Ura makes Hanuman, does crawl back into third place. I've just knocked over my empty water bottle. Drops CK Cos into 4th. Unfortunately, this could not find the tiles, but does confirm Wildstar as our victor with Negligence in 2nd. And yeah, that was a long game. That was almost an hour long. And yeah, with that, Wildstar. What is Wildstar got in Discord again? I feel like they had a different name. Where are we? Yeah, it was Hong. And all the other games have ended naturally with the hour-long game. So we're just going to see if they want to have an interview for their victory. I'll give them a couple minutes here, and then if not, I will just... Well, in the meantime, I'll wait to see if they respond. We'll quickly go have a look at the other games. In the other games here... look, I remember to change the scene straight away. Look at me. I'm a great person. Great streamer. Alright, yeah, they're keen for an interview, so let me bring up the replay. Oh, come on, computer. We'll have to see. Hold on. I need to give someone get someone to give him some invite privileges here. So we'll have to ping Jay. But he might have just immediately left. To see if anyone else is available. If not... Jay lives a very active social life, so he might have immediately left after having to do all his management on his own. Well, again, while we wait, I'll quickly just pop open the scores here. Here we go. So, meanwhile, so we see Chiral in the second table here. A 104-point victory for Young Consumer is massive. Crimson Wonder is copying a third, and Oishikanari with a fourth. Frisk, Riichi Fink is managing to hold on to a second, keeping up their really great season, avoiding a third or fourth there. And in the first table, victory from Pigyo and Tanya Sensation over Junkin Ron in second, Pinfree Pals in third, and Urasamba Better in fourth. Urasamba Better with a win and a fourth here will end up about even. They were right on the cusp of top 8. Still manages to stay there with the changes there. But with that, yeah, Ichiruchi Fink is dominant, still in first place. Tanya Sensation holding on to second. Todd Dreaming keeping third. Fury and Double Reach back up in fourth with that victory there from okay, yeah, with the big victory. Hold on. Okay, it's got it. It's fine. Let me bring up the game here again. Yeah, very long game here. I didn't. Oh, well. Hey, you want me to call you Hong or your tenor name? Hong is fine. Oh yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you. It was a very close game.
It was a very close game. Yeah. Did you have any thoughts about it overall? Like, what was your what impressions did the game leave upon you?
Yeah, so it was very close. I had a very strong start.
Mm-hmm.
And on East, I had the self-draw, which is really good. I thought, oh, this will be easy game. But guess what? It's not. So I lost few games on the way. I just like, oh no, it's coming on second and third. And I just try really hard to come for the first.
Yep.
And but yeah, so it is luck as well. And yeah, I got really lucky second last hand, so I got the score, which is really good. I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, no, as you said, yeah, you started off with that deal Among Gun here in this first hand, which was a great start. I was saying before the game that I feel like a lot of the games I tend to cast end up not having good starts. But you very quickly got Tempai here. Did you ever at any point consider waiting a little bit, or were you happy to wait on the 6-0 as your only wait?
I was thinking because I'm the East and it's the first game, and it is like a manga, and I needed to. I think it's good. So if I win, will be 12,000. So it's good start. If I wait, sometimes you take a really long and you miss. So it's better just I reach, let other players nervous to dealing with me. So and I think I did a good choice there.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly great. It worked out very well for you. The early Riichi put a lot of pressure on the table, and yeah, Mangan, as you said, set you off really well for the start of the game.
Yeah.
But then eventually, yeah, we did get this hand where you you ended up going on the Tunky weight here, the solo tile. Um, right at the end here, you ended up swapping to the 7 pin. Was it
So,
simply because did you saw the 1 9 pin in the pond and you thought the 7 pin might have been better, or?
so that is a really painful dealer.
Mm,
So basically, I think that is nine is out already.
yeah.
So I thought seven is will be kind of like more risky than the nine.
Okay. Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, so I dealing the nine, and I just so regret for it. I should just dealing the seven.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah.
that
So.
was a really good hand for me, but unfortunately I dealing out. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that ended up you dealt in, and that was a bit awkward. But yeah, you it was a very close hunch, and right until right at the end, as you said here,
Yeah.
where you again managed to find a very quick 10 pie on the 4 7. So I remember at some point when you called the chun, were you considering going for Toy Toy instead, or were you always set on just going for the more quicker victory?
So I was thinking toy toy. So I
Mm.
think that goes by pairs. So let me go for the toy toy.
Yep.
And yeah, so and it's end of game and I need a quick win. So I think toy toy is will be good in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I mean, you ended up throwing the Tuso first. You draw another one, which is unfortunate. But at some point, if you were offered the choice to go for Toy Toy, you would have gone for Toy Toy instead. It just didn't end
Yes.
up that way. But yeah, yeah, okay. That's what I would have assumed here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, so at this later on, I draw the seven circle, about eight circle,
Mm.
and I was thinking let's gun for it. So luckily, I got the five pin as door, so which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right, and then yeah, and then lastly, into that last hand,
Yeah,
you were just trying to get any win, I imagine. Here, you weren't too worried about Honitsu or anything like that.
mm, yeah, no.
Yeah.
So I think I'm on the lead. I just want to get a quick win. So I
Hmm.
still so I just like it's good I have right door, right fives. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking let me just have quick win and keep the number one. That'd be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're just going for any win here. You're not too worried about the point situation with your team or anything like that. You're just trying to win. You're just trying to finish the Hanchan. Yeah, get the win. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
that's really good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it was very well played by you.
thank you.
That was all I had to ask. Anything else you wanted to add or?
No, no, I just want to say thank you very much to organize this game, and I had a lot of fun, and this is all the team playing with is really good team, so I'm very happy about it. Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you for playing with us. Alrighty. And yeah, that's it. Thanks
Yeah,
for
have
joining.
a good night.
Have a good night. Yeah. Thank you very
Bye
much.
bye.
Bye bye. Alrighty. And with that, yeah. So thanks very much to Hong for coming on. Yeah, we wrapped up the score here a little bit. But as you can see, with the victories we had and the games we had, the shuffling continues around the cutoff point. It's still at about -50. Itsuanko fell a bit more off the pace here. Might have to bring in the direct hitter. Jeez. with his massive week that he had. I imagine he's busy. But yeah, Junk and Sumo shifting up a little bit more. They were down in 12th at the start, and now they're up in 10th. So really good to see. Junk and Ron took their place, which is less than ideal. The FA agents, the Pinfree Pals did not have a very good night from the seams of things. Where we're looking at, you had a -75 from Havra and a -18 from Trayton, unfortunately. So they do take the last spot from the FA agents, who went about the same. They were about -300 at the start. So they shifted a little bit up. But the gap to the top 8 is still about the same. So we're hoping to see all these teams keep fighting. We still have between 7 to 9 games left for each of the teams, depending on exactly which team you play for. So there's plenty of time to still make up points and make it to the top 8. The only people I would say would say for Riichi thing is it's going to be very hard to lose about 700 points and drop out of the top 8 here. Even Tanya Sensation is pretty safe. Even though you get these very big wins, taking heavy losses is quite hard. You have to go quite negative to really lose a lot of points. Especially over just 1.5 weeks left. So yeah, that will be it from me. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging on to my solo stream, my frenetic rambling, and my inability to feel dead noise, or dead air rather. Again, I left everything way too late this tonight to try and find a co-host. I will give it another go tomorrow. I'm very introverted. I'm sorry if I don't ask you guys. As long as you've got 3 hours to spare and you've got a decent mic quality, you're more than welcome to ask me to join. You don't have to be very skilled to do this. Look at me, right? But yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got 3 games for you tomorrow. So again, we'll be running an hour longer. Thanks.